Everyone tell us, and this is patch 14.14, and it's not a very exciting one, as patches do continue to be extremely bland. We do have a lot of nerfs inside of the jungle. You guys might have actually seen tweets or reels or shorts, etc., from various people saying that this will actually change up the jungle dynamic. It won't. And then we'll also talk about the absolutely funny nerfs to some other things. Now, Aurora is in the game. So, Aurora, right off the gate, I do not think that she will actually end up in pro play for a lot of reasons. One, she is entirely dependent on her numbers because her kit does not have enough going for it. And that is just because the baseline nature of the kit. So what I mean by that is it doesn't have enough utility, or there's not enough justification with the things that she offers, because really she does just kind of deal damage to you. And her range is very, very short, and she is entirely dependent on curving into items and just overpowering you. And that is a fundamental problem that Aurora is going to have. So I don't know how Riot is actually going to balance this, because if she has the numbers, she's going to end up being really strong. The problem is right now is that in mid lane, she's going to get outranged by pretty much everyone. She's going to be squishy. She's going to have a lot of issues, even curving into the later stages of the game. Now, her wave clear is fantastic. Absolutely magnificent wave clear. But can that actually do something when Aurora is going to have to come in as a counter pick, because you're not going to be blinding her against a lot of mages? And I just don't see that really happening. But the champion, absolutely beautiful champion design. And in that regard, play her if you like her. But I think that she's just going to basically be a solo queue only champion, and some people obviously pilot her probably well at the highest tiers, but yeah. All right, Aphelios, binding, eclipse, sentry, and onslaught damage has increased. Q binding, eclipse, purple gun, damage 50 to 150 based on level, 26 to 35% to 50 to 140 based on level, to 32 to 50% bonus AD. Okay, and now Q Sentry is also going up as well, 31 to 100 to 35 to 125. So he's getting quite a lot of extra chip damage on basically obviously his active. So 10 to 40, 20 to 35% based on level, bonus AD, 10 to 40 based on level, 22 to 40% bonus AD. So red, which is obviously his most prevalent gun, especially in the early stages of laning, not really getting a whole lot there. Now, Sentry getting some aid here, I think this is actually really big, but you notice they don't really modify the scaling, and the 2% early on doesn't really do anything. I guess the biggest thing is the gank setup. If you have points in Q, the gank setup on Q, you get a lot of extra damage, but that's pretty much all that's going on there. Now, Aurelion Sol, base AD is going up by 3. Initial mana cost 7.5 to 12.5 to 30 to 50. No, after paying the initial cost, additional sustained mana cost is triggered. Okay. Every 0.5 seconds starting 0.5 seconds into the channel. Every 0.25 seconds starting 1.25 seconds into the channel. Okay. This mana cost adjustment is unchanged while using Breath of Light during W. Okay. That's totally fine. What this does is it prevents the really obnoxious Aurelion Sol poke that he can do inside of lane to just pop his rune, get his mana flow band, etc. And it's like he just has infinite mana while he's doing that, and you just take chip damage. Astral Flight range is going up to 1500 to 1900, so that's actually a massive range increase. The thing is the range increase on Astral Flight doesn't really do anything, because, again, this is going to be an ability that you don't really get to see the benefits of this until super late, and they're not doing anything to the Stardust scaling. Mana cost on Singularity is going to be 80 at all ranks. Now, this, again, it's not an ability that you put points into until later when Aurelion Sol already doesn't really have mana issues, etc. The 80 at all ranks will help him a little bit with the Q stuff, but all in all, it doesn't really matter. Our Falling Star, the skies descend. So the damage on this is going up by 10%. Okay, deals 125% of Starfall's damage, okay, 100% of Starfall's damage, 90% of Falling Star's damage. The Skies Descent Shockwave damage is going down by 10% total damage, whereas the AP is going up on Falling Star. And obviously the Skies Descend Shockwave is, it is a thing. It does try to hit everyone. So his team fighting actually does get hit a little bit, but his early laning and stuff is better. Okay, Bel'Veth. Base attack damage decreased, true form attack range adjusted to remain neutral. Attack range going down by 25, and Endless Banquet 52-75. More of a nerf really to early Bel'Veth ganks, where she's trying to maximize damage output before she presses that E, and then obviously in the later stages of the game when she's permanently transformed and whatnot, it doesn't really matter. Brand, E cooldown is increased, damage decreased. Now again, we're gonna read this, and we're gonna read all the AP junglers, and we're gonna talk about how the AP junglers are fine, and you know, the nerfs that they're receiving don't make the other junglers able to contend still. So the cooldown is gonna go from 12 to 8 to 13 to 9. Okay. So it is going up by 1 second flat. Magic damage 60 to 160, 60% AP to 55 to 155. Again, no, no. Now, in terms of like his combo, it's not even interacting with any of his early combos. It is interacting with some of his later combos a little bit with that increase in CD. So Cho'Gath, Q base damage increased, E base damage is increased. So Cho'Gath's actually been on the receiving end of a lot of buffs. The problem is that Cho'Gath doesn't have Twin Shadows, and he doesn't have Everfrost, right? And those were two things, and also even, I guess there was also the way that you could take Predator, I guess. Some people would do that in order to gap close and whatnot and land stuff. Okay, but Cho'Gath. So Rupture, 80 to 320 plus 100% AP, 80 to 340 plus 100% AP. So I think that they already did the thing with the breakpoint on his Q. If you're maxing it first, it already CSs everything for you with a certain AP. Once upon a time, it used to be like Lost Chapter plus an Amp Tome. I don't think it's actually that anymore. It might have actually been Lost Chapter, Amp Tome, Dark Seal. I am forgetting. Would have been able to do the Qs at level 7 or something. But now I think that his wave clear with Q is just naturally better. Magic damage on Vorpal spikes is going to be 2237 or 22 to 82 scaling, 30% AP, 3%, 0.5 to 20. So it's actually worse at rank 1. But then if you put a second point in it, it goes up, and then it's actually considerably up at max rank. It's getting an extra 18. That's actually really big. That's 54 base damage and just increase on his auto attack. That is actually nuts for like tank Cho. Doesn't really do a whole lot for AP Cho. I'm not going to say it doesn't do anything for AP Cho, but yeah, I mean, this is AP Cho's last max stability. So in that regard, it does feel a little bit bad. I mean, you can probably, because of the buff that they did to W a while ago, and now because of the buff to Q, you can probably spare 1 point in W, and then you can put a point into E, in which case you get 9 damage. Think about it. All right, Corki. Recommended skill ordering is updated. Base health decreased. Recommendations. Corki's recommended skill order for mid lane has been updated to now suggest maxing Q first. Okay. Base health down by 30. That's a big deal for Corki. That is a really big deal for Corki. So wait until we get to Tristana. Now, is it going to break his laning by any means? No, it's really not. I mean, people are going to overreact to this the same exact way that they overreacted to Jinx once upon a time, or Aphelios, or any of those champions that they lost an auto attack in laning phase, right? And they could have just played it better. Now, if you've been watching a lot of Corki Tristana in pro play, you will actually see that a lot of things do come down to almost one auto attack, but that's because they're handshaking it that way most of the time. But Corki's counterpart, the other Yordle, has also been smacked in this patch a little bit, so we'll get to that. Fiddlesticks. Q is now blocked by abilities that block projectiles. Terrify is now blocked by Yasuo's Windwall, Braum's Unbreakable, and Samira's Blade Whirl. This is something that if you actually main Fiddle, you will probably notice it if you actually play it enough. But again, the circumstances in which all of this is happening, or where you're queuing into a Samira Blade Whirl, or you're queuing into a Yasuo Windwall, these types of things, I mean, they're just not happening. But it does make the lane against Yasuo now, like in mid, that much more difficult, or even ganking Yasuo. Well, not necessarily ganking Yasuo, you just have to open with E to silence him, and he has to react to E with Windwall, and then you have to walk past it, and yeah, that's fine. Hecarim. Health growth is increased, W duration decreased, healing increased, cooldown decreased, E cooldown adjusted. So the health growth going up by 7 per level. That's actually quite big. W Spirit of the Dread duration is going to go down by 1 second. 20% halved to 10% damage dealt by allies. 25% halved to 12.5%. So the healing is actually up, but the duration is down. Total healing is likely to actually I think be down to okay. Interesting. Cooldown 16 to 14 to 14 to all ranks. That's actually really big. That's really big. Nice little change there for Hecarim. E devastating charge, getting 2 seconds added to it early on, but then actually goes down later. Also really nice for Hecarim. So nice little Hecarim changes. I'm sure that I think his name is Chashik or something, the Hecarim god on Korea. You know, I think he'll be obviously doing good. And yeah, Aurelia, AD growth decreased, passive attack speed increased, R cooldown reduction for Q decreased. AD growth is going down by 0.5, not the end of the world. Passive Ionian Fervor, 7.5 to 20% to 7.5 to 25%, and now it scales by levels, it seems linearly. So with that being said, for the most, this is yeah, okay. I mean, this is just like later stage Aurelia buff. Blade Surge cooldown reduction 0.5 to 2.5 to 0.5 to 1.5. Okay, Jax, E cooldown increased early. E counter strike is going up by 2 seconds. That actually will hurt Jax's laning. Jayce, Cannon Form, Q damage is increased. Q Shock Blast 55 to 330, 120% bonus AD to 60 to 335 plus 125% bonus AD. Okay, this helps out Jayce later. And Jayce, really, the problem that he has right now is a lot of champions can actually itemize pretty well against him. Jayce got hit indirectly with a lot of the item, like rework type stuff and move arounds on certain things. So being able to get 5% bonus AD added in, as well as 5 flat damage on top, it's nice, but is it why you're picking Jayce? No, it's not. It's not why you're picking Jayce. You're not picking Jayce so that you get your Shock Blast deals an extra 15 damage, right? Like, think about how many professional games or how many games you have to go through to where the 15 damage actually is what apparently is what you're drafting around with Jayce. Kindred, base HP is decreased. Q attack speed bonus decreased. Now, I will say that in the laning phase, this does add up to more than just 15 damage, but I'm talking mostly about late game where he's only really landing 2 Shock Blasts in a team fight, right? Or if he's poking, he's maybe landing 3, which means that you're talking about 45. Kindred, base health, base HP decrease, Q attack speed bonus is decreased. All right, so she's losing health, but she's in the jungle. Dance of Arrows, bonus attack speed is going down by 5%. All right, I will agree with Griffin here on Twitter that these nerfs are really weird. Lilia, passive healing against successful champions reduced. E damage is decreased. So, Swirl Seed. 10% AP down and 10 damage flat. That's actually kind of big on Lilia. I don't think that affects her clear, but the 10% loss of AP on E, it does really hurt the target that she does initially hit with it, especially because she's fishing for E's in the later stages. This is basically her key spell in the later stages of the game, and whenever a champion's key spell is hit is what you always really have to pay attention to in patch notes and stuff. So the healing going down, not the end of the world. Milio. So these are huge. These are really big Milio changes. In his current state, Milio has a disproportionate amount of power tied up in his very early lane harass, particularly when he shields himself and runs up to auto attack. With these changes, we'll be reducing how powerful that strategy is and instead encourage him to look for opportunities to harass opponents with his Q rather than only casting it as a peeling tool when he's being engaged on. Well, I don't think that... I mean... Q is an opportunistic spell more often than not, but passive fired up 15% of allies AD followed by 15 to 50 based on level, plus 20% of Milio's AP, burn damage over 1.5, to 7 to 15% of allies AD. Okay, so it's nerfed early on. Followed by 10 to 50, so it's nerfed early on, plus 20% of... Okay, so it's just overall nerfed. Okay, so his passive is overall nerfed in damage. Q Ultra Mega Fire Kick, the range is going up by 200. That's actually big. Cooldown is also going down by a flat 2 seconds. Hitting at least one enemy champion Ultra Fire Kick refunds 50% of its mana cost. That doesn't... I mean, if this was a cooldown refund, that'd be crazy. He just starts playing soccer. It's like Ronaldo shows up in bot lane. But the thing that's more interesting to this for me is the change that they did to his Q a long time ago where they steroided its damage. And so now I'm wondering... With everything going on here, I wonder, if like top Milio type things have more merit. The shield strength is also going down by 15 flat, but if you have AP, it goes up. So again, I'm wondering if these changes are doing more things for like... Now, I don't think Milio can actually lane, though. That is the problem. I know Jutut did play him in his top lane journey thing once upon a time, but I don't know how good it actually is. Nidalee, W damage decrease, E damage decrease, AD ratios are increased. Okay, that's fine for top lane Nidalee. Hurts Nidalee everywhere else. Not the end of the world, because it's not why they picked Nidalee. Q, Rumble, base damage is decreased, minion damage modifier adjusted, minion last hitting logic is improved. Flamesplitter, 125 to 185, 110% AP to 6 to 10% target's max health, to 80 to 180, and everything else is going to remain the same. So 5 flat damage off the total. Amazing, man. Amazing. So if you sit in Rumble's entire Flame Spitter, by the way, you will save 5 more HP later. Now, early on, it is actually a really big nerf. 45 off of it is actually quite sizable. 35 off it even at rank 2, and then 25 even at rank 3. That's actually quite big. The minion damage modifier is there. Prevents minions from dying to other minions if they would die. Flamesplitter now deals 1 bonus tick of damage, ability duration permitting, if it would kill a lane minion. Wonderful. Okay. Sion, W damage is increased. I wonder how they even code that. W damage is increased. Soul Furnace magic damage 40 to 140 plus 10 to 14% of target's max health to 40 to 140 plus 14% of target's max health. What? Oh, it's just, it just comes with the 14% up for, ooh. Oh my God. Wait a minute. That's like, against most champions, that is like a 25 damage rank 1 buff. That's actually kind of nuts. Against most champions. Oh, that's really bizarre. That's a very big buff to Sion. Smolder, Q-based damage is increased. Super Scorcher, Breath, 15 to 55, 100% AD, 15% AP, to 20 to 60 plus 100%. All right, they're very negligible. Tristana, base mana increased. Q cost added, attack speed decreased, W cost decreased. Okay, so the base mana up by 50. Rapid fire cannon, okay, so it's not up by 100. Okay, that's interesting. I think the PPE had it be up by 100, so she got 2 Qs for free. Mana cost is going up to 50. Attack speed 65 to 125 to 50 to 110. So she's losing 50% attack speed too, which is actually probably costing her anywhere. Yeah, probably costing her 1 to 2 autos in an extended trade. That's a lot. W rocket jump is going to be 60 to 50. So depending on how many times she rocket jumps, I mean, you can also count that as almost a free Q. She's probably getting 2 Qs for free. Here's the thing. She's just going to adjust her build and she will still be picked. That is actually the reality of it. She's going to adjust her trade patterns, she'll adjust her build, and she will still be picked. Zed, Q damage increased, equal down reduction per enemy hit is increased, okay. It's going up by a negligible amount. This isn't what is preventing Zed. And now again, we're at the AP junglers again. Zyra, passive plant damage is adjusted, extremely negligible plant damage. 15 instead of 16 and 75 instead of 84, man, come on. Bonus damage to monsters going down by 10. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe it slows her clear, but it doesn't matter. She already has one of the fastest clears in the entire game. So she's already outspeeding everyone, and then once she gets Faded Ashes, which is the real problem, by the way, for AP junglers. All these AP junglers didn't exist before until this item existed, and Riot just keeps hitting the junglers over and over and over and over and over and over instead of adjusting the monster damage modifier on the item. Why, man? Why? I don't, like... Why? And then they're going to forget about this because that's how it works. Warmogs armor. Warmogs health heart requirement is going up to 1,500. So this is meant to obviously take away the ability to just blindly rush it and everything else, but it'll still be built on tanks and whatnot. Absorb health, negligible change, doesn't really matter. And then this is all whatever. Okay, so... a pretty nothing burger patch, if we can all agree on this. Now, Tristana and Corki are 2 of the biggest changes, along with, I guess, Sion. But other than that, nothing really actually happening here. Lilia, Kindred, these types of things don't matter. Hecarim is actually somewhat okay. Cho'Gath just isn't really viable. AP junglers are all totally fine. The meta's going to stay exactly the same. Bel'Veth's nerf actually does suck early on. Aurelion Sol, I mean, this type of stuff, it doesn't matter. And then we have Aurora, but she's not actually going to be a bomb in the patch in the sense that she causes any change to the mid lane or even top lane and stuff. Now we have the skins. Yuumi, I think that she is actually totally viable because of the change to enchanter items and the way that certain items interacted. So I think like with Moonstone and Helias and Dawncore and stuff like this, I think that Yuumi is actually good and just no one plays her. And this is a really pretty skin. This is also a really pretty skin. So, I mean, this is totally nice. Oh, this skin. Oh, no, it wasn't on Lodal. But okay, this skin, obviously amazing. Absolutely gorgeous, Yuumi skin. Looks like a vampire almost type thing because of the yellow eyes, but maybe I just watched too many vampire shows towards the late 2010s. And this is Aurora. So this is the Anima Squad or something Aurora, right? She has the witching hat and whatnot. I'm not really quite sure how she fit those ears through that, but I mean, this is how it goes. This does not look like the champion. This looks like Photoshop done bad. You know what I mean? When someone's like using too heavy of a filter, that's exactly what this is. This is way too heavy of a filter. I don't even know what to say about this. Now, I will say that the primordial skins are all absolutely magnificent. They are all gorgeous.
They're all absolutely gorgeous. Bel'Veth primordial skin literally looks like something straight out of Final Fantasy. And when she's transformed in this skin, it really does look like a monster. It looks like, yeah, it looks like a summon out of Final Fantasy when she's actually transformed. And then, you know, here's the final one. But that is it, guys. That's it for the patch changes. LCS resumes, obviously, this weekend, and so we'll see what is going on. And other than that, we're screwed. We're screwed. We're 14-14. We had that one big patch, which was, what, 14-10? And then it's been 4-0 burger patches again. And, yeah. And there's a lot of talk on Fearless Draft, and everyone is just doing the thing that they like to do, which is the no one wants to say anything that they really think. They want to say things that are regurgitated and echoed by other people. So everyone's just saying positive things about Fearless Draft, even though it's demonstrably already proven by some of the LPL games where it was done in other leagues that it's played in, that it doesn't really have an effect on the draft, and mirroring just ends up happening. And so Fearless Draft is supposed to be this thing that is supposed to mix up champion diversity and all this other stuff in drafting in pro play regions and whatnot, and it's not going to. And I think the only real solution, and I talked about it a little while ago, would be like a sealed version of champions that Riot would end up, you know, locking in for teams and whatnot. But I don't know, maybe a video on that type of thing later. And that is it, guys. See you later.